Conflicting reports of an alleged bomb or explosives dropped in the Black Sea in the path of a UK Navy destroyer by Russia. The Russians say they dropped kinetic deterrence near the Royal HMS Defender after the Royal Navy ignored Russian warnings that they were trespassing in Russian territorial waters as the ship sailed off the coast off Crimea ahead of some NATO exercises with Ukraine. Now, meanwhile, the British just deny any of this even happened, just flatly, point blank. This is the first time since the Cold War that Russia has used a hot weapon against Western intervention. So is this NATO provocation, or is this simply a dispute over Crimea exiting Ukraine and joining the Russian Federation? So for analysis, former Pentagon official Mike Maloof will join us. So Mike, the big question here is, could there be a threat of kinetic war between Russia and NATO?
Yes, I think there can be. And Mr. Putin has basically said that Crimea is a red line. Ukraine is a red line in terms of any kind of NATO effort to try to bring Ukraine into the Atlantic Alliance. But it's more than that. This is really an effort by NATO really to make the Black Sea a NATO sea. And when you look at who already is surrounding the Black Sea, Moldova, Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey. I mean, these are members of NATO. And then you have two wannabes, Ukraine and Georgia, that would then solidify NATO as a NATO Black Sea effort, all in an effort to contain Russia.
Yeah, and NATO and the West know that Russia has laid claim to Crimea since 2014. Why would they conduct those exercises there? And any coincidence that Russia would be unveiling and testing new hypersonic mobile ICBMs right now?
Well, the reason is that the West does not recognize the annexation of Crimea by Russia. In fact, there was a referendum in Crimea that said they predominantly wanted to go with Russia, and that's what occurred. As I understand it, it even caught Mr. Putin off guard when people voted the way they did to want to be annexed to Russia. That said, the international community does not recognize that, and as such, they still regard and as the HMS Defender attempted to do was go into those territorial waters, saying that they really are Ukrainian territorial waters, and that's when the tensions really mounted up. And I think you're going to see continued provocations like this. Now, there's a Sea Breeze 2021 that's underway right now for 2 weeks, began today. It is a NATO exercise using Ukraine. Perhaps elements of Georgia. So the tensions are going to remain there. One positive thing, I guess, from the Russian standpoint is that they can see how the military exercises are being conducted in order to really understand the tactics that are being used. But that's one of the downsides of conducting such military exercises, that the other side can see how you're doing it all. So that can work both ways. It's a double-edged sword, in effect.
That's true. Good point. The Royal Navy also knew full well where Russia stood on trespassing through these territorial waters. Their initial denial of this is disproven in the classified documents left at the bus stop in Kent a few days ago, which were discovered by a civilian and then turned over to the BBC. So listen to what one MP had to say about it.
But our frontline forces on HMS Defender, Mr. Speaker, were totally professional in dealing with aggressive Russian actions in the Black Sea last week. But they must be asking, what about our backup at the MOD when top secret documents about their mission, ahead of their mission, found their way to the back of this bus stop in Kent?
All right, Mike, this document dump, deliberate espionage, a leak? I mean, what do you make of it?
Well, initially the MOD, the British MOD denied it, but now the fact that they have launched an intensive investigation on just what happened might suggest that they are authentic. I think it could have been just someone who, an employee who just dropped the documents, left them somewhere, and that's happened before. We've always had security breaches in the past ourselves, so this is not unusual. But the fact is now they probably are authentic based upon the fact that the UK is investigating intensively how this happened. But it did show that the documents apparently did show that. And regarded the question of, well, what happens if we go into these territorial waters? What will be Russia's response? So they knew full well what they were getting into before they even broached territorial waters. And I think Moscow made it very clear that you're in Russian territorial waters, stay out. But once again, you're going to see a concerted effort over and over again by the NATO countries to try to make the Black Sea a much more of a NATO presence there in the future, I think. And and again, it's all to create the pressures on Moscow.
As usual, with great analysis, Mike Maloof, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.